A Carl Jung quote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves."
Yeah. In therapy, there's this pithy phrase called, "If you spot it, you got it," which is basically the understanding that anything that you can recognize in somebody else that really gets under your skin, especially in a disproportionate way. Like, look around. Are the other people in the room even seeing what you're seeing, let alone responding as negatively as you are? Probably not in this case. The fact that you see it and you're responding so negatively to that behavior in others is pretty much an acknowledgement that this is a part of yourself that you've either disavowed or rejected, and you've now projected it into another person.
Well, something about this really got under my skin in a clearly disproportionate way, and I'd like to take a moment just to look at the framing of this video. Notice the language of perceived, projected, and seeing as it relates to the actions of others. So Orion's starting point is quite literally inside out. That is, his first, and in this clip, his only assumption is actually to bypass the annoying action itself, the context in which it exists, and any questions of real or debated proportionality, and immediately reduce the incident to that of emotive and psychological events. So that's what he goes on to describe, valueless and morally weightless events, which themselves rest on a grey bed of assumptions, things we've unconsciously rejected within and projected without. Someone in the comments has asked, when I find someone picking their nose annoying, does that mean I pick my own nose too much? Another, that Orion is wrong about this one because some people just have a strong sense of fair play. And though both of these comments definitely pass the vibe check, these kind of knee-jerk statements don't actually debunk Orion's theory here. He can actually account for these people with a sense of fair play. He's just got to say, these are individuals who've extrapolated society's arbitrary norms into very real emotive responses. And anyone annoyed at people cutting in line, for example, also in a very real way, it should acknowledge that cue cutting is, in his terms, a part of themselves, which has been rejected, and thus the condemnation of the cutter, the guy who's cutting in, is based on the projection of this internal repression. The power of this view of the human psyche, especially to those living in affluence in areas of the world where the rule of law and justice systems functions, is that it is strikingly consistent and easy to apply in everyday life. In fact, how relieving to find out that people's criticism of you can be boiled down to their preferences, which although might be shared with many others, they actually have no force of reality behind them but the chemical movement of the grey matter in the human brain. And while all of that might be a question solved under the gaze of a Jungian psychologist, the real danger lies in the pretense that this is actually a reasonable way to understand the phenomenon of frustration. To present one's feelings of injustice, for example, as solely descriptive of a person's psychological state is really to reject any right or wrong accordance of those feelings to the real world, to real injustice. Indeed, in its kind of crudest YouTube form, as displayed by, people like Orion and others, a man's annoyance and sense of justice at someone who's stolen his wallet can't actually be justified as right or wrong, not even as more right or more wrong in any real sense of value judgment with comparison to another man's sense of injustice. When he steals a wallet and gets frustrated to find no money in it, that's not because he hasn't declared stealing to be just or unjust, it's actually because he is unable to. Either way. I hope you're seeing the real poverty of this kind of internally closed system of thought. That is, severing the attitudes we feel from the things we feel them towards. Thus, any actions, whether noble or scandalous, are stripped even from the human dignity of agency in any real moral sense. So to conclude, a final thought about the effect that this and other pop psychologists on YouTube kind of has is it's basically a video in a sea of many seemingly contradictory social theories. Some about dating, some about self-help, others analysing current affairs in this light, and a lot of guys my age, I'm 23, are watching them, taking advice from them, and actually forming serious worldviews from these talking heads. The kind of worldviews really that most generations would have got from extended families, an experience in, a real small community. Virtue and vice, along with the duties of proportionate empathy and a sense of fair play, have always been treated as serious realities by pretty much every historical community. And I honestly don't think many people will even remember what Orion was saying here. But the real point is that the barren philosophical assumptions in this clip about emotions, morality, and the value of others are repeated often and to many, many people. You know, this video's had thousands of views. Why does this matter anyway? Well, let me finish with a quote from The Abolition of Man. It is not a theory they put into his mind, but an assumption which 10 years hence, its origin forgotten, and its presence unconscious, will condition him to take one side in a controversy, which he has never recognized as a controversy at all. Thanks for watching.